Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to the podcast. I am Charles.
I am Maya. Sorry.
Today, we are going to cover the topic economic development, or just development in general, or what makes a developed nation, for choice board number 3, comparative politics.
Wait. This podcast is sponsored by Wendy's.
I missed they had the cardboard. I feel like the cardboard cups would look nicer.
They would, I agree.
And they would be better for the environment.
Styrofoam.
Anyways.
Styrofoam.
No.
Anyways, continue. We're on track again. We're back.
Why don't you start us off?
All right. So, to start us off, there are many different ways that we could consider a country developed. There are many different characteristics if we break it down. However, like we discussed in class, and also like to summarize what article I read by Margot Kennedy, they listed 3 major characteristics that determine the development of a country, which are the population growth rate, which is, the rate at which people are inhabiting this country, whether that be, however this is happening, and the GDP, the gross domestic product, and the human development index, which is basically just how do people feel about the country that they live in. And all of these characteristics can be used to develop a country, but they are all needed. And that's kind of the argument we're making here, is that it's not just one, right?
It's all of them.
Yes.
They all,
Yes.
Okay. And this topic is just, it's hard to start, because it's like, where there's so much, where do you start? And then you could just you could pick one thing and just keep on going down in that rabbit hole forever and ever, and just trying to keep the discussion as broad and as open to try to cover everything is kind of hard. So, when I think of it, I'm like, okay, we have these 3 factors. We have the money, the people, and the happiness. That that makes sense, because if you would ask me without learning about it, what's a developed country? I would just be like, oh, you got money, you got cars, schools, healthcare, stuff like that. But when we look at it from these 3 sort of specifications, what comes to my mind is Sweden. And so I read that in Sweden, the people there like paying taxes. Okay, they don't love it, I'm so excited to go pay taxes, but they're like, I think the money that I am spending on the government is worth it. It's working. And so they probably score pretty high on that happiness index thing that you were talking about. But they probably I don't know what Sweden exports. They got IKEA. That means, I love their meatballs. They're great.
They're great.
But I would assume that a place like China, they're just bam, 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 throwing stuff out there, exports. Their GDP is probably higher than Sweden's. I think we looked at it. China was 3 point something trillion.
And Sweden was it was sitting around 600.
800 billion? 600?
600.
A round
700?
number. An even round looking number.
Yes.
But I would assume that the we looked at it too. The happiness scale of people in Sweden is way higher than that in China. And then which is more developed then? Is it going to be China, who has more of the money, but probably not very good human rights legislation, or Sweden, people there love to be there and people love to go there? Which one is more developed? And I think it's interesting to think about what plays into that, right? Is it the geography, or is it the system of government that they have, democracy, all of the other ones, republic, democratic republic, those things? Because I know that China has a lot of natural resources. They have lithium, and they got everything. They got iron. They got all that. It's a big place. So, do you think that it's because China's not a democracy, right?
No.
Sweden is.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure most of the developed nations have a democracy, right?
A good majority. A good majority. However, there are. This is a great question because.
Thank you.
Of course. It brings democracy into the question. Does democracy matter when talking about development? And I think that a lot of, for me personally, I am very interested in American politics specifically. So I am biased towards the democratic system because
I didn't even think of that.
Because that is what I'm used to, and that's what we're all kind of comfortable with. But it's possible for countries to be successful without a democratic system. So does democracy matter? Yes, but it could also not matter. For example, Switzerland is a great example of a federal republic, who is doing great things. They have a GDP of over $800 billion as of 2021, wow, which is pretty good. They have a very skilled labor force and produce valuable resources. These valuable resources, you may ask. They primarily export gold, but then they also export vaccines, blood, toxins, cultures, everything along the lines of like medical, those types of things. So they're exporting very valuable resources, and it's definitely showing in their economy. But they are doing very well, and they are not a democracy. So I feel like the question of does democracy matter?
Yes,
is a loaded question.
Oh.
But it does.
It matters, but it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to. Exactly. Okay. There we go. Exactly.
Well, and then could Switzerland's, because they're in the middle of Europe, right? They're the tiny country in the middle of Europe. They have like all the big European nations around them. So like geographically, they're in a really good spot too.
Yeah.
So they could like they don't have to like worry about ships or anything. They can just send everything off to like, here's Germany, here's France, you know.
Yeah.
So they are geographically in a good spot, and I would think, and you said they have gold too, so they're in a really good place.
They are.
So might it be less the government they have? I mean, I'm sure it works. I mean, it has to work for them to be able to thrive, but I think geography plays a lot into it too.
Oh, for sure.
So
for sure.
If you had to pick one, would you pick a good government or would you pick good geography?
I feel like I would have to pick a good government, because it doesn't matter where you are or what resources you have. You need the infrastructure to be able to distribute these goods, right?
Oh, yeah.
You need to be able to make a profit off of it if you don't have that in place. Like we talked about the resource curse, right? The resource curse is just having an abundance of natural resources, but then not having the infrastructure to know what to do with it.
To profit off of them, to be able to export them, and
exactly. So I feel like
government's more important.
I feel like government's a little bit more important.
But I think I gotta think I like how we started. They're like in different brackets, because I can think of an example where like government wouldn't really have to. Okay, so in Africa, you know the Suez Canal. So there's a Suez Canal, then there's like that sea, and then there's like it like kind of gets narrower. Mm-hmm. There's a country right here. It's called Djibouti. I know, and it's like there's nothing there. It's just it's just sand. There's no resources whatsoever, but they make the majority of their GDP is just gas stations, fueling all of the ships that are going through the Suez Canal. So, like, they're in a really good place, like, geography-wise. And, like, at that point, like, infrastructure-wise, you don't need a whole, like, you need roads to get, or something to get the oil from where it is to your gas station, and then a means to distribute it. So like in industry, there's like one industry, which isn't common for a lot of places, but it highlights just the importance of geography, along with the government, but like you said, I do think a strong government is really important because, and when we move on, we have other topics here. Dependency theory. So, the like more poor nations, more less developed nations, the odds are stacked against them if they want to try and become more wealthy.
Right.
So, yeah, and you have like the more developed nations kind of take advantage of the resources that they have and specifically try to keep them poor so that they can just take their resources.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's how we define the dependency theory, and the dependency theory, like you said, it consists of wealthier countries that are taking advantage of weaker, less developed countries for their resources. And obviously it's a lot more complex than that, but we're narrowing it down for the sake of the discussion. Countries that are more or less being used for their resources are not able to develop at the same rate as countries that are not being used for their resources, right? Like, they are not given the opportunity to develop because their sole purpose is to be used.
Right. And then I think, like, I don't remember who it was that said this, or whose idea it was. I think it was Aristotle, maybe. The idea that wealth is finite, and it can only be, like, if you want to have more wealth, someone else somewhere has to have less wealth. So you have to, like, pick and choose. So not everyone will have equal wealth, and you kind of start to see that when we look at things like this, because, like, takes for example, like, you can go to the dollar store and buy things for very cheap, but we can only do that because of the places that we're taking advantage of, right? So to give that up in order for more countries to be developed, we wouldn't be able to have as much. So it's, where's the give and take there?
Right.
But I also feel like human capital increases the more people there are. And I feel like it has the potential to be even. Like, I feel like it should theoretically make sense for everybody to be able to live comfortably, at least in, like, some hypothetical utopia. But that's what I would hope. But, like, how do you get there?
Right. And that's another great question.
Thank you.
Do we know how to get there is the question, because we obviously have a rough understanding of tax and of interest based on where we're getting our goods, but we don't even scrape the surface, because so many of our goods are being taken from these weaker nations. We're taking these resources from them, and that's how we're getting it, right? So we have a very rough understanding of what that would look like.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
it's the world is so, like, it's been like how it is for a really long time, and it's kind of just grown off of that.
Yeah.
And a lot would have to change in order for it to be, like, the reverse of what it is.
Right. And realistically, like, there's the idea of being able to equal out power between each country, but that'll never happen, because we have the same issue to a smaller scale when it comes to personal wealth, right? Like, we could have the same amount of money if one of us just equaled it out, but, like, if I'm more wealthy, why would I want to give you money? Or why would you want to give me money?
Where's the incentive?
Yeah. Where's the incentive to grow other people's well-being if I'm more concerned about myself?
I guess it would have to be government then.
Yeah.
And that's I closed my document. That's a point we have. Like, the amount of influence the government should have on their economy. So, like, regulation should, and I think it was a note of something. There's some that, like, someone thought that what was it? People should only have like be like a ceiling.
Oh yeah, there's a wealth ceiling, right?
Yeah. Do you know more about that?
Well, I mean, it's I believe it's more of a left side of politics take, but some people view wealth as something that should have a cap, right? You shouldn't be able to have so much money where you could donate multiple dollars to every single person on the planet and still have money to spare. Or there are people that are wealthy enough where they could kickstart the development of a country just based on how much money they have. And some people don't think that that's reasonable, because why would you need that amount of money if you're not going to do it, if you're not going to do good things with it, right? Because
there's only like a certain amount of money that you can spend in your lifetime.
Exactly. And there's only, but if there's a certain amount of money you can spend in your lifetime, then there should be a certain amount of money you can make in your lifetime.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But how would the government go about that, though? Because that's like, hey, billionaire, you're done making money. That's no more money for you.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to do that.
Oh, exactly.
And they're going to, like, pay their lobbyists to be like, go to the Congress and be like, no.
Exactly.
Here's some money.
And that's a very loaded question that we could go into for a very...
Oh, that's true. I'm opening another rabbit hole.
Open another can of worms, but that's okay, because it's a good question, and I feel like that's a conversation we should have.
In a theoretical utopian perfect place where everyone wants the best for everyone else, yes, there would be... That sounds like something that we could try or would work.
And we're applying this to the development of countries in the sense that...
Yes, that's where we started, yes.
Yeah, and we're applying this to the development of countries in the sense that all countries could be developed if we distributed that fairly. But that's not how it is.
Nope. Sadly. Yeah.
It looks like we are...
Oh my goodness. Oh, timely. We are out of time. Well, it was short, but thank you for tuning in. There is so much of this topic that we could talk about it for hours, but I mean, if you want to watch that part 2, maybe, I don't know, but
let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. That's right. Smash that like button. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. See you in the next one. Wendy's.
Thanks, Wendy's.
Wendy's.
Woo!
Wendy's, exactly. The
right.
Plastic cups. Get better, Wendy's. Get cardboard cups.
Yeah. Economy and climate.
Economy and climate. There you go.
Boom. Bye.
See ya.